Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So was it hard getting up the hill, or was it okay? Yeah. And I believe that you met up with a parade, some kind of. Yeah.
Yes.
It was it the first time you seeing that, or?
You can see the parade, we saw the rush.
You saw the rush, okay.
And lots of.
Okay. Okay. So I welcome you all to this meditation center. And if you have any questions about the Buddhist philosophy, about your mind, about this center, you can raise those questions. So with those questions, I'll do a discussion with you about Buddhism. Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah.
No? Okay. So if there's no questions, yeah.
Is Buddhism a philosophy or a way of life?
Buddhism is a way of life. What do you mean by philosophy is a teaching, right? So a philosophy is, Buddhism is also actually teaching a way of life. It is not a religion, it is a teaching about understanding your mind. So that is Buddhism. So if there's no questions, I will do a brief introduction about Buddhism. So it's like this. From our childhood, we do things because our parents say so, because so many different things. Why we do all these things in life is to achieve pleasure in life. We get education, and we hope by education we will be successful in life and become happy. And then we move on to do higher studies. And then we get ourselves in relationships. Then we get ourselves married, go on to have jobs, have kids. All of these things, one way or another, the ultimate goal of things would be to be happy in life, to find pleasure. Otherwise, we don't do the things that we do. At the end of the day, we want to be happy. So while we're searching for this happiness in life, what we come across, like always, is sadness, suffering, pain. We come across these things, pressure, anxiety. So we always, in search of happiness, in search of this path to be happy in life, we come across this sadness and suffering in life. So what Buddhism teaches is a way to get rid of this suffering and sadness, and how to be happy without this sadness and suffering. So we know from our childhood, from our own lives, that once we want to do something, we get ourselves like we have a desire within ourselves to do things. What Buddhism teaches is, when you understand your mind, you will know from yourself that the desires that you have is not the things which is outside. It is through your own mind. Once you understand your mind, once you understand the causes of your suffering, then you can get rid of this desire from within. So when you get rid of this desire from within, you will find enlightenment. You're not enlightened about anything else. You are enlightened about your mind. So when you are enlightened about your mind, you will not feel the stress and anxiety, the suffering from your mind. You will be enlightened from it. To do this practice, we call this meditation Vipassana meditation. What we do here. Normally the meditation comes in two different ways. We have stillness and concentration meditation, and we have Vipassana meditation. So concentration meditation is where you sit down and you close your eyes and you try to get rid of the other thoughts. You concentrate your mind into a certain point. Sometimes mostly used is breathing exercises. You take your breathe up and down, and by doing so, you try to concentrate your mind into a certain point, not to the whole process of breathing, but just to your tip of your nose or your stomach. You try to concentrate your mind. So that is concentration meditation. So you can also achieve a bliss from that once you do this for a long time and you like very committed to it. If you're like really doing it like every day, so you can also achieve bliss from that. But what we practice here is called vipassana. In vipassana, it is a little different. What's the difference is you don't try to concentrate your mind. You try to understand how it works. You try to understand the process, the mechanism of your mind. That is vipassana. So what is there to understand? What is there to understand is what we normally get used to, what we normally do in our lives is once you are afraid, once you are upset, once you are feel jealous, so the things that you feel, you always feel these things towards an entity which exists outside. Let's say you are angry at something. When you are angry at something, you always point your finger towards some person, towards some entity which is in the outside and say, okay, this is the reason why I'm angry. You did this. Why did you do this? I'm angry at you. When you're upset about something that someone else did or something that happened outside. The cause of your suffering, the cause of your upsetness and sadness, it is always an entity which exists outside. It can be your partners, it can be your kids, it can be your neighbors, the government, the leaders, the politicians, the environment, lots of different reasons. But in reality, what Buddhist teachings say, and in reality actually, the reason you're suffering, the reason why you're stressed out is not some entity which exists outside. It is always because of the way you think. Because of the way you think. Because of your own expectations that you yourself created. That is why you suffer. That is why you get angry in life. Not because of some person who's outside. It is because of your own expectations that you create. You from your mind, you have imaginations. You have frames. You have attachments saying this is good and this is wrong. That is all in your mind. But if something happens from outside that doesn't go along with your expectations, you get angry, you get upset. That is how everyone in this world get angry and upset and suffering in their lives. If you're angry at something, think of a moment where you get angry without your expectations did not come true. Can you give me an example? Like you being angry without a loss of your expectations. Every moment that you feel anger or upsetness in your life, it is always because of an expectation that you had that which did not come true. So if I give you a simple exercise to make you understand this even more, let's say that I give all of you a piece of blank paper. I'm going to give all you a piece of blank paper. Then I'm going to give you a pencil and say, draw a demon. You know a demon? A devil? So I'm going to ask you, draw a devil. So you're drawing a devil with long teeth and big eyes. So you're going to draw a demon. Then I'm going to give you some colors and I'm going to ask you to paint this demon that you drew. Then you're going to paint the demon as well. Then I'm going to take this piece of paper that you drew on and I'm going to show it to you and say, be frightened, be afraid, looking at this piece of paper. Can you do that?
No.
Why not? It is just a painting. You know that you are the creator of this. You know how you drew this. You know you are the one who painted this. But in reality, that is what happens in our own minds as well. We from our minds, we create imaginations, thinking that he should be like this. My kids should be like this. My countrymen should be like this. My phone should be like this. My car should not be breaking down. I should not get sick. So those things are your imaginations. The imaginations that you yourself create. You, your mind, are creating imaginations and they are drawing. And they are painting these imaginations. But because you can't see this process, you get angry, you get sad, you try to take revenge, you be really happy. All these emotions work because you can't understand that you are the one who's drawing these paintings. So that is the normal process of a human mind. When you try to understand this, your mind will feel that you're getting rid of desire. The things that you are desirous about are not really the things that you think that you are desired about. Let's say that I'm desired about my phone. I'm not really desired about my phone. I'm not really attached to the phone that I have. What I really attach to is the idea that I have about this phone in my mind. I have an imagination in my mind about my phone. Okay, this is my phone. It is some kind of Apple or Samsung. I bought it from this store. There's a whole lot of story with this. That is why I'm attached to. That is what I'm really desired about. Not the phone which is outside. Let's say that I love a person. I don't really love the person who's outside. What I love is the person that I imagine from my mind. Let's say he's Bob or Mary. I love Mary. I love her walk. I love the way she talks. There's a picture in my mind about her. That is what I really love. That is the reason why you hate the same person that you love the next instance. There are situations where you get angry at the same person that you were in love with. The reason being, you don't really love the person who's outside. What you love and what you get attached to is the imagination in your mind. That is why you really can't see the person outside, because you always seen the person from your mind, thinking, okay, she's like this. She's a person who is not angry about things. She's a person who will not cheat on me. There are imaginations in your mind, but those are just imaginations. When these imaginations of yours become the reality, that is when you start to feel suffering and pain in your life. So Buddhism teaches a way to really understand this process, to really understand this mechanism of how your minds work, then how to be enlightened from it. No questions yet?
We're beginning.
Sorry?
We're beginning.
Yeah. So again, once you understand how your mind works, that is when you really learn how the ways of your mind. Like, let's say for me, for my first 20 years in myself, I learned about things. I learned about mathematics, science. I learned about so many different things, how the world works, how the universe works, how the universe began. All these things I learned. But then at 20 years of age, I realized something, that I have to do research about my own mind as well. Because we use a mind. We use a mind to do all these things in life. To all the creations, all the imaginations that we have. It is all through our mind. So I started doing research when I was 20 about my own mind. So by doing research about my mind, I understood certain things. The things that I understood is the ones that I just said, that the desires that we have, the attachments that we have, the expectations that we have, because of our own ignorance, because we can't really understand these mechanisms of our mind, we get attached, we reject, we do all these things with our mind because of our imaginations, because we really can't understand our imaginations. So the meditation practice that we do, vipassana, is a way to understand your mind. How to understand your mind? The way to understand your mind is when you are upset, when you are angry, you try to think from within and say, okay, why was I really angry? What was the cause of my anger? Is it really a person who's outside? Is it really my parents that I'm angry at? Is it really my kids that I'm angry at? Then you will realize something. What you will realize is what you're really angry about, what you're really upset about is not someone outside. It is all because of your own expectations. Because you had expectations saying, okay, people should not behave like this. My kids should not do these things. That is your expectation. That is your imagination. I'm not saying it is bad to have expectations. I also have expectations. But do not get attached to those expectations that you have. There are right and wrongs in the world according to societies. Now let's say your kid does something wrong according to society. Now your kid steals from someone. So that is bad in every society. We agree upon that, saying, okay, stealing is bad. I'm not asking you to let it go and don't do anything. There are things that you can do. Ask them not to do it, because in society, that is considered to be wrong, right? Stealing is bad. So I'm not asking you to like not do anything about it. You can, there are things that you can do. Like you can like say that, first make him understand, okay, don't do this, don't do that. You can make them understand that. But if you go even further, if he's still doing that, there are punishments that you can, like, to make them understand that you did something wrong. I'm not asking you to stop doing all these things. While doing these things, if you're burning from within, if you're really angry about something, then that means it is not really the cause of the child who done the stealing. It is because of your own way of thinking. Did you understand that? There are things that you can do. I'm not asking you to not do these things. According to societies, there are right and wrongs. Stealing, killing, all that is wrong in every society. But that doesn't really mean that it is the truth. That is something that we agreed upon. The good and the bad, the right and the wrong, that is something that we agree upon as a society to make the societies live better. That doesn't mean that it is the reality in life. There are people doing some acts. If you do something wrong, there are laws, there are police, there are courts to decide what they did and the punishment to give. That is there. But if you're burning from within, if you lose sleep over things that has been done by the world, then it is not the cause of someone outside, it is because of your own way of thinking. So when you understand your mind, you will realize these things from within you. You will realize, okay, what was I really upset about? It is like you being outside and being an observer. You are not trying to engage with the thoughts that you have. You will just be an outsider watching how your mind works. No questions? Yes.
What if you're task oriented? And
Sorry?
if you're task oriented, if you're doing a task,
Okay.
and if a person that is counterproductive to that task, and you get upset, I mean, it's the task won't get done. How could you stop people from being upset about that?
So the reason you just explained, because of there is a person, he's not doing the work, and hence it is not getting done. So you having an expectation people should do these things is your own expectation. If you're upset about something, it is your own, because the reason would be because it is your own way of thinking. You have an expectation with these people, okay, saying these things should happen, people should do this work. But it is your own expectation, isn't it so?
But you have to have certain expectations, because
Yeah, I'm not saying that don't have expectations. I'm saying the reason for your upsetness is the attachment that you have towards your expectations. But I'm not asking you to, like, if they are not doing the work, there are things that you can do. Right? You can do all these things without being upset. That is what Buddha teaches you. You can even shout at them without being angry. That is my own experience. You can, like, in this place, we have started a campus, a university. So in this university, we have like 250 students who's living here. We started an IT and a music batch like a year ago. It is all for free. So from here, like 300 people are living here altogether. So in this campus as well, we have rules. They have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. They have to do yoga from 4:30 to 6:30. It's a lot of like moving parts. So they have to help in things. They have to be in a certain way. There are rules in here. So if someone breaks rules, there are things that we do. First, we ask them not to do it. Second, we like advise them, like, don't do this. It is then if they don't do it again, there are punishments. There are things that they have to do. And then if they don't listen as well, then there are suspensions. All that is here. But I don't really get upset. I don't really get angry with anyone. I don't really lose sleep over anything that they do. But I do things. I shout at them. I say, don't do this, don't do that. I do all these things. But without being upset about why did they do these things. It is because I understood something in my mind. What I understood is the expectations, the imaginations in my mind are just my imaginations. Me having expectations, saying, okay, people should not behave like this, is my own foolishness. For me, can I really hold my body the way I want? Is this body really mine? Saying, okay, let's say, I stop eating for a week and say, don't be weak. Will that happen? If my body is mine, I'm going to say to my body, I'm not going to give you food for a week. You be healthy. Can you do that? No. Because this doesn't really belong to you. This belongs to food and exercises. If you don't give food and exercises, they will get sick. So if you can't really keep your body the way you want, how can you expect someone else to be the way you want? That just doesn't work. That is why there are rules in this society. Okay, don't do this, don't do that. If you do this, you will be punished. So if someone is not doing the work that you want them to do, there are things like you say, if you are in a workplace, if the person doesn't do the work that he's supposed to, he will be fired from the job. Right? So that is there. So the process will work. But you being upset about it is not in the process. You being upset about it is because of your own way of thinking. So no expectations doesn't work really. Let's say from now on you say, I'm not going to have any expectations. Will that work? No. You will have expectations. Yes. Because I also have expectations. If there are 300 people living here, I have expectations. Okay, they have to be in a certain way. I have expectations. You can't really go saying, okay, I won't have any expectations now on. That won't work. Because in this very moment, you have expectations about going back to your hotel, going back to your country. You have expectations. You can't really get rid of expectations. But what you can do is, when you're upset or angry about something, you can really see from yourself, from your within, and think, okay, it is not because of my expectations. It is because I was thinking these expectations should happen as it is. You are attached to the expectations that you have. You have expectations not only to the major things like kids and all that. You have attachments towards your expectations to everything that you see. Your phone, this glass. You won't believe how much you're attached to. Because everything that you see, you have an idea, okay, these things should be in a certain way. Let's take a simple example of a tea. You even have an expectation, an attached idea of how tea should be. The hotness, the sweetness, the color, the smell, all that is in your mind. If you are served a tea a different way, if you are angry, upset about it, that means it is not because of the person who made tea. It is because of your attachments. It is because you think, okay, tea should be in a certain way. Going from tea to your kids, to your parents, to your, big things like that. Everything goes with the flow of expectations and desire. A simple word would be desire. So what Buddhism teaches and what Buddhism makes you understand is the things that your desire is about are not real things which is in outside. If you really desire about your phone, the physical phone, you cannot get yourself rid of these expectations, your desires, because it is something physical. Because it is in your mind, because these desires exist in your mind, there is this process of getting rid of desire. Because it is all an illusion. It is like looking up into the sky and seeing the blue sky. If you look up, you see the blue sky. It is very clear, it is very real. Even now I see, okay, there's blue sky. But if someone goes off to touch these blue skies that you see, can they really do that? Can they go and touch a surface and say, okay, I found the blue sky? No. But when I look from here, I see the blue sky very clearly. It is an illusion. You see it blue, very blue. But if you go up, you will never find this blue sky. But the thing is, in your mind as well, you see these illusions. You believe that to be true. You see some person and you think for a second, okay, this might be a cunning person. And you judge that person by this ideas of your mind. Okay, he's a cunning person. He's a person that should not be trusted. He's a person that I should trust. He's a person that I should fall in love in. All these ideas, imaginations, those are just imaginations. Those are just thoughts in your mind. I'm not asking you to believe it or reject it. I'm asking you to be an observer of it. If you try to attach yourself or either reject the ideas, that means you are in an extreme in your life. Don't be an extremist. Be in the middle. Be an observer in your ideas. If you really see from your mind the ideas coming in and going out, that is how it works. But what happens? If some thoughts come in, you attach yourself to the thoughts. For some thoughts, you reject the thoughts. For some thoughts, you get angry. With some thoughts, you get upset. With some thoughts, you get sad. With some thoughts, you get really happy. But those are just thoughts, either in the past or either you're thinking about the future. So the past that you see is just the past. It is all over. Something that has happened. The future that you see is a reflection of your past. Think about it. The hotel that you're going back to. If I ask you to imagine with the hotel where you travel back, you can imagine it, right? You see the hotel that you're going back to. You see the room that you are going back to. That is there. But is it really the hotel that you will meet in the future? No. It is the reflection of where you left off. If I ask you to plan about your next month, can you do that? Plan your next month. Yes, you can. You're going to Colombo and then you're flying back to US. Are you all from US? Okay, you're flying back to US. Let's say you are in New York. You're going back to your job. New York, your home. Everything you can imagine. It is really real. You're going from a taxi. You can plan all that. But is it really the future that you will come across? The taxi that you are going in the future, that is the taxi that you saw in the past. Every details in your future, it is just something that you saw in the past. You cannot create something that you didn't see. So that means it is not really true. It is its reflection. You can imagine things in a certain way. That is okay. But you believing these things, you being attached to your ideas about future, that is happening because of your foolishness, because you can't really understand. Okay, in my mind, the future that I see is just a reflection of my past. That is why people get upset and angry at some things, because you never expect people would do things like this. If I ask you the color of your house when you go back, you can say the color as well. My color is white. So you won't really know whether the house is there or not at this moment. Right? You don't really know. But you think, okay, there's my house. I have a house in New York. I have a house in US. You think like that. But you can't really be sure whether that house is there or not. Maybe an earthquake came. I don't know. Like, things can happen, right? But you think from your mind, you believe them to be true. Okay, my house in the US. I have kids in US. I have my job in US. All that is in your mind. I'm not saying that that is bad. You have ideas, it's okay. But you getting attached and you rejecting some ideas. That is where the problem started. So I'm not asking you to stop this process. I'm asking you to observe how your minds work. When you observe your mind, you will start to realize small details about it. The ways that it works, the rhythms of your mind. When you see these things, your mind will start to calm down from its own. That is how that happens. Yes.
I've been reading this book. Maybe you can tell me if it's like along the lines of Buddhist philosophy, but it basically says when we feel the positive emotions of like joy and pleasure and other happy emotions, like we're not thinking in those moments. We're just feeling and experiencing it. It's when we feel negative emotions, like you said, when we're in our thoughts and we're like, like when you think about when you're the happiest, like what on the beach or whatever. If you're not thinking, you're just feeling, you're feeling all the positive stuff. So.
Yes. You feeling things, it is because of your habits. You have ideas in your mind saying, okay, when I go to a place like very calm and some music on, you have an idea about relaxation and being happy. If these expectations of yours become true in the outside, then you feel happy. I have an idea, okay, if these things come true, I am relaxed. So when suddenly these things come true in your life, you feel relaxed. That is because of your habits. It is the way you want to see the world. Let's say from childhood, we saw every funeral that we go to is a party. Every funeral is a party. They are celebrating. They are like putting out sounds and they are dancing in funerals. When someone dies, it is a party, full-blown party. Full-blown party. So if you saw that from your childhood, will you be sad ever when someone dies today? No, because from childhood you saw people dancing and happy, partying when someone dies. So because that is the way your mind trained to, if someone dies today, you won't feel sad, you will feel happy. Okay, someone has passed away from us. Let's be happy. So your mind is programmed to be sad, be happy. That's how it's programmed. When the program come true in your real life, in your outside, you run the program. You would be run automatically. Without even knowing, the program will run. So the negative and positive energies, that is there. But when you understand your mind, you will start to see the process. When that happens, you will be in the middle. Middle is not positive, neither negative. You won't be positive, you won't be negative. You will be in some other state. Any more questions?
So how can you control sadness?
You never try to control anything. If you try to control it, then you're doing something wrong. You never can. Can you go to the beach and control the sea? Like say, stop the wave by your hands. Can you do that?
No.
Why?
It's not your control.
Yeah, because we have an understanding about the sea. We know the sea waves cannot be stopped by hands. We have an understanding about the sea. Likewise, if you have an understanding about your mind, you will know the thoughts coming in, you can't really stop it. You can't control it even. Let's say your mind is like this. I was given a glass of water and the water is shaking like this. What can you do to stop this shake of water, to make it still? What do you do?
Stop shaking.
Stop shaking. If you stop shaking, it will stop from within, stop from itself. But your mind is also like this. Sad, upset, happy, ecstasy, joy, and then again sad, angry. It is always in a shaking state. Always shaking. You're trying to control it. You're trying to do things to it. It will shake even more. Don't try to do anything to it. Just let it be and be an observer. I'm not asking you to control sadness or control revenge, anger. Don't do anything to it. Just observe. What you can do is understand. You can do understanding. What do you have to understand? You can understand what was you really upset or angry about. Then you understand what you're sad about. You will realize that there was nothing to be sad about in the first place. Because you being sad is always because of your own imaginations, because of your own expectations. You being sad is just being sad about your own drawings, from the example that I gave. You drew something and you're being sad about the thing that you drew, then you will realize there was nothing to be sad about. Then the sadness will go away. You're trying to control it. It will shake even more. Don't try to do anything to your mind. Understand it. That is something you can do. Did you understand what I said?
Well, it's
Easier said than done.
it's deep sadness. Say your mother dies, and to try to understand that, the loss is traumatic.
Every father.
Or a son or a daughter. That's just so traumatic that it's tough to grasp. So how
Yes, I understand it. Why this becomes so tragic is because of your own attachments, right? It is because of your own father, if your own mother, your sons and daughters. People in the world die like every day. We don't really feel traumatized about things like that. But we getting sad and we being really upset about these things is because attachment. It is because you think, okay, this is my mother. This is my father. That is true to us. That is true. My mother just died. My father just died. I'm really upset. So in that moment, you can't really understand the cause because you're really upset and sad. So that is why there are things like going to the memorial. That's why there are memorials, and there are things that you can do, like gather up and talk about the good things that she did to ease your pain. There are things in the normal life that you do, right? You remember the person and what she did. All that is there to ease your pain down. That is there. That is okay. Do that. But while after some time passes, think from your own mind, saying, what was I really upset about? Is it really because someone died? No. Is it really because my mother passed away? No, you thinking that my mother should be alive and be with us. Your losses are also like that. If you think that person should be with me, for that own expectation, because that expectation broke you upset. If you understand this now, if you really understand from your mind, then you will not feel sad or any of that if someone passes away the next day, because you have understood something. For a person who is feeling the loss, really feeling the loss, it is a bit hard to understand that process at that moment.
So your initial reaction isn't, that's okay. It's when it's down the road reaction. I mean, how you feel down the road, how you feel later on.
If you understand it, there is no initial. Like you understand something, you understand the imaginations in my mind. That is why I suffer. If you really understand that process, if you really understand that logic, you will never be sad about anything happening. You will never be sad about anything happening around you because you have understood something. But before you understanding that, the imaginations in your mind are real. Your expectations are something that you attach to. When you attach to the expectations of my parents, my children should not pass away, they should be with me. When you have attachments towards your children and your parents, if they pass away in that moment, then you will feel sad. At that moment, it won't be easy to understand your expectations and imaginations. At that moment, you can do other things, like do things in her remembrance and do things like remembering the good she did. There are things that you can do to ease your pain, to ease your sadness. So it is getting quite dark, right? So if you don't have any more questions, I'd like to wind the session up because you were a bit late to come to this place, so that is okay. But yeah, that's how things happen. I didn't expect you to be late, but you were late. That's how it is, right? Me being upset about it, never works, right? We face situations in our life that we can't really adjust to. If you have attachments, if you have expectations hard and fast, saying you guys should be here at 4:30, then I'm the one who's upset. So me being upset, is it really like working? No. I'm upset because of my own expectations and imaginations. I have understood it. So it doesn't really matter to me. He called and said, okay, we found up with some problem. There's a parade and we traffic. I said, okay, no problem. Get here whenever you want. That's okay. So
Acceptance is that.
acceptance, somewhat, yes. Not the whole. You don't have to accept anything that you understand. If you don't understand, then you have to accept. If you have understood that, you have understood it. There is nothing to accept. Everything you see as it is. People die, people die. People live, people live. You do good, you do good. That's it. There's no acceptance in that. I don't have to think about it and say, okay, I have accepted it. No, no, no. To some extent, acceptance is true.
So I'm sorry. So you really never get upset in life anymore now.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Because you have come to the conclusion that it's your own expectations that lead you to be
Not the conclusion, understanding.
understand.
Yeah. There's no conclusion.
You're like realism.
Realism.
Realism. Okay.
It's real. You know.
We can say that.
Wouldn't be like, I don't have control over certain things, so that's there. So
I don't have control over anything.
anything, yeah, that's something that's what you think.
You really don't, right? You can't really control anything. But you think you can control your car. You think you can control people. You think you can control your kids. You think so many things. But those are the things that you think. But you can't. If you can't control your body, how can you control anything outside? If you can't give food and say, don't be sick. If you give food and do all these things accordingly and say, don't die, can you do that? No. You saying don't be sick, it won't work. You going out in the pandemics and saying, okay, I will not get affected. No. You will get the flu. Right? If you can't really control your own body, how can you expect control other things? But because of your imaginations and attachments, you think I can control my kids. I can control my house. This is my house. If someone enters, there is a breaking of entry. Then you do things. It is okay. I'm not asking you to not do anything when someone breaks in. Do things. That is okay. That is according to society that you live. The rules, the ways in life, that is according to the society. That is okay. But if you're being really angry and you want to murder someone, and you want to if you're burning from within saying, okay, and you're losing sleep over it, then that means something is wrong. Not because of the person who did the act, but because of your own way of thinking.
Somewhat attachments and expectations are responsible.
You can say that. Yeah. For the last, if I say something as a message for you guys, is to not to expect the things in your mind from the outside. You will have thoughts. The purpose of a phone would be to connect with people, right? To take calls. The purpose of the mug would be to hold water, to drink water. You can do things. So the duty and the purpose of a mind would be what? Is to create thoughts. It always creates thoughts. If you are not getting thoughts, that means you have dementia or something. The purpose and the duty of a mind is to create imaginations, to have endless thoughts. Don't try to control it. Don't try to stop it. Don't try to do anything to it. Because that is the work of a mind. It always creates thoughts about the future, about the past, about so many different things. That will happen. But don't ever try to get attached or either reject the ideas. Don't get wind up with the ideas. Don't be angry, don't be sad, don't do anything, just be an observer. Then you will realize some things about your mind. And I'm really glad that I met you all. If there's any more questions, I can answer it, but it is getting really dark, so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Amazing. Are you the head of mission? Because
Sorry?
are you the head of this?
No. We have a chief monk. I'm a disciple of his. So he's in Colombo, but he's the one who normally does this. If he say like this would be a little bit more interesting. Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad that I met you all today, and I bless you all for your future endeavors. Another thing, the thing is now, it is said the best cinnamon in the world, it grows in Sri Lanka, in the southern parts of it. We also have cinnamon plantations. We made some tea for you guys. If you like, take a quick sip of tea, cinnamon tea. It is pure cinnamon without any added sugar or anything. So I'm really glad that I met you all today, and I wish you all for your future, and I wish that all of you could understand your mind and lead pleasured life. Yes.
Just one quick question. With that thought in mind, what you said with influence, so meditation will be easier. You get thoughts, but you don't let it go around, but you concentrate on it.
That is also okay, no? But that is just a way of meditation.